And greetings and welcome to the QCast. This is season 5, episode 23. And for the third time, I'm thrilled to have Caleb Kimbrough with me, but the first time that he's here on his own. One time I had him on a big panel talking about other teams that were in the NCAA tournament. And then I had him with his college head coach talking about a Guilford game, and that was a fun one. But really glad to have Caleb Kimbrough here solo. Caleb, how the heck are you doing, and how's the season going so far for you guys?
Doing well, Bob. Thank you. The season is off and running. We have a lot of new faces. It's been a lot of fun to get to know the new guys, to figure out how to piece it together a little bit. Personally, me and my wife Marley had our third child. So he was born October 24th. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind.
I'll bet.
Yeah, we have 6'4" and right around a month, a little over a month, little boy. So it's been good though, and yeah, thankful to have Marley, my wife, who's holding it down right now.
Yeah, congratulations to you and the family. And you've had a whirlwind, like you said, of everything going on in your life. And of course, the basketball side of things has been going great. Caleb and I, folks, chatted, and we wanted to take this QCast a little different route today. And in light of the news that came out yesterday, the tragic passing of Fred Garland, a great player for Trine University, who died in a car accident Wednesday evening. We felt a little funny doing a normal QCast and talking about the Tigers and talking about normal stuff when so many in the Division III world, including our friends at Trine, are really grieving right now. And Caleb, I don't even know where to go with this. I'll just say that, from my standpoint, for those that weren't familiar with Fred, he was a high character kid. He was a great player. So he was a guy that started all 33 games in the national championship season. And it's the reason we wanted to keep this on is because, ironically, you coached against him in the national championship game. So you have some really nice perspective. He played all 33 games last year. He was a first team all conference player. Boy, he hit maybe kind of the game winning shot in the national championship game. He hit a three from the left corner that put his team from up 6 to up 9 when you guys were making a run. This year, he was having a superstar season for a Trine team that had been ranked number 1, currently number 4. But I guess, Caleb, every now and then there's these moments in life where we get some perspective that it's not really just about basketball, right? And just what were your thoughts when you heard the news about the passing of Fred Garland?
I mean, it's just absolutely devastating, Bob. I mean, um, I think like you said, you know, there's really, I mean, I'm a little bit at a loss for words. I mean, we spoke about it as a team a little bit yesterday, having competed against Trine in Fort Wayne, and it's just completely devastating. It's unfair. Um, and we're just really praying for Fred Cortez and his whole family and the Trine community. And, um, you know, I think having played against him and not knowing Fred outside of just competing against Trine, um, I mean, you really see everything that people are talking about, being up close uh, to that team. Obviously, Coach Miller does a phenomenal job, but I mean, you really saw like I saw a quote where Coach Miller said something about Fred's smile, and how it kind of lit up a room. And I mean, you see that in person, just when they're approaching the game and the way his teammates are interacted with him, and this energy that he brought everybody around him. It was really special to see, and I thought that translated to how they played, and obviously translated to a lot of people, because you see so many comments from so many people that had interactions with Trine, or or just watch them or whatever the case was. Um, so yeah, we are very sad. We are thinking about, everybody that's close to Fred and his family, and um, it's just really devastating news. I mean, it's gut wrenching. It is absolutely gut wrenching.
Fred was a senior from Detroit, Michigan. He was a sports management major. In kind of reading all of the things that have come out so far, I know that, again, I mentioned this earlier, that he was known widely as just a high character individual, a great teammate. I had Brooks Miller on the QCast twice last season, and both times we talked a lot about the role that Fred played on the team. Went back and listened to those today. Um, kind of sad to go back and listen to those, right? Because he's talking about what kind of teammate he is and some of the big plays he made, and here we are talking about this tragedy. I'm just curious from your standpoint, Caleb, um, when things happen in a program, these beyond basketball type things, and hopefully most programs never have to deal with something like this. But as a coach, when stuff happens, how do you kind of work with the team? How do you support the team? How do you help the team? We can only imagine what Trine's going through right now, what Coach Miller and staff are going through. But how do you guys as coaches deal with tough stuff like this that happens? Real life stuff that hits a basketball team, hits an athletic team.
No, that's a good question. And I feel like everybody tries to handle it a little bit differently. We've certainly had our fair share over the past few years of things that have happened in the program. I think as a coach, my mind usually goes to, well, how can I help? How can I fix it? And there's no, in many circumstances, especially when you're dealing with something like this, there is no fixing it. That's not gonna happen. So, the first thing we try to do is, we try to open the lines of communication best we can. Um, but we want to allow, we want to give people some grace to go through this range of emotions that um, you can go through and that you need to go through. And we're not sure how long that would last. For instance, and we had, something happened where a family member passed away in the program, and that's never going to go away. It's not something you get over, in my opinion. It's something that you learn um, to live with in a lot of ways, and I think it's every day. It takes every day to just try to pour in and support and try to help anybody who's affected by the loss. Um, but and then honor that person and find ways to constantly talk about them, right? And honor them in any way that you can. Um, but I'm not going to sit here and act like it. I think it takes an army. I think it takes an army of people um, to just work to care about somebody and care about, you know, uh, just everybody around them, honestly. And there's no really right answer, but we really try to take, allow somebody, give somebody, tell them to give themselves some grace, and it's okay to be any emotion that you need to be, and forever long you need to be that, and we're here for you.
In that line around honoring Fred Garland, just final question is that this is a guy that you had to prepare for last year. So you played Trine in the national championship game, and he was one of their star players on the team. What are your recollections in terms of Fred Garland, the competitor, the player, the guy that you guys faced last year? That was just last March. What are your recollections of kind of going up against him?
The Garland brothers, specifically Fred, a spark plug. He's going to be high energy. He's going to be relentless. He's constantly going to be looking to attack. You can't ever let up on him. Um, yeah, we really felt like he was the energizer for that team in a lot of ways. Um, and he showed up big in that game. I think in a lot of different ways. It wasn't, have this big scoring game, but he hit a massive shot
He did.
and constantly kept us on our toes. He was a guy that you just could never let up on. You never could let up on. It was the same as both sides of the floor. But outside of like specific to his, basketball ability, it's just the way I thought that he connected that team. That's something I don't know that you can really coach against, right? But you can see it when, as you're scouting a team. And man, he had those guys together and confident and ready to go. And I really think that's a testament to his character, to his passion towards what he did. And um, you know, to be able to see that as a person that doesn't really know him personally, right? But is just watching him from a distance and trying to scout the team. It's really impressive to be able to take some of those things, from watching from that distance.
And you mentioned his brother Cortez, who was also a member, a great member of that team last year. And um, certainly we send our heartfelt thoughts and prayers out to the Garland family, to the Trine men's basketball family, to Trine University, everyone close. It was it was a bomb yesterday, right? When I started seeing these tweets about, like, what, like something happened here and I can't figure out what it is, and finally piecing it together. Um, just one of these awful moments that makes us realize that basketball isn't all that important in the grand scheme of things. And so Caleb and I just wanted to make sure that we started there. And we're not gonna do a full scale Q cast because it doesn't feel quite right. We will talk. I want to, while I've got Caleb, just talk a little bit about the season and everything going on, because there are some amazing things going on with his team right now, and we'll just do a real abbreviated version. But Caleb, when I had Adam Brazel on for the second time, and by the way, he's a pretty darn good interview, and he had a we talked a lot about the fact that I joked that I didn't vote for you guys in the preseason, and I when I submitted my ballot, I said my number 26 is Hampden-Sydney. I didn't know what to do with you because of that 7-man rotation last year. You only returned one starter, two guys back that played 10 minutes or more, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with these guys, so I'll wait and watch them. You're 6-1. You're 2-0 in the ODAC. You've beaten Swarthmore, Randolph-Macon, I believe, in a non-conference game, at Christopher Newport, Pfeiffer, Roanoke, and then Randolph-Macon. I think that was a conference game. Your losses to Gettysburg. So sitting here now, rated number 9, 6-1. Are are you surprised at where you guys are, or did you see with the pieces you had to kind of reload this thing? Did you see that this was the path you guys could be on?
Yeah, I wouldn't say like I guess I go into the seasons being confident about the team. I would say there was a lot of unknowns about this group because we had a couple of transfers, a lot of newcomers, guys stepping into roles that have been here a while but not had that as big of roles. And I would say it's like a pleasant surprise, the way we gelled so quickly in certain areas. I still think we're a work in progress in a lot of ways. We're a lot different team
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. But that first game at Swarthmore, just like the togetherness. You bring in a couple transfers, you don't know how that's going to go. You bring in the young guys, what's that going to look like? And that's really a testament, I think, to the returners and the way they've lived out a lot of the culture that we talk about and their leadership across the board to get everybody on the same page. And so it's a constant work in progress, but Yeah, I'm very excited about where we are at this point. I knew we had a very difficult schedule, and going into it, I was like, we will know something by
Right.
Christmas. We'll have an idea of where we are. So, and that's kind of always the thought. I think with scheduling is we want to be challenged, but um, certainly one of those games has been a lot of fun.
This is your sixth year. You were hired April 4th, 2019. And so this is year six. And it's been quite an impressive build. The year before you got there, so 18-19, Hampden-Sydney's 4-19, 1-15 in the league. That first year that you're there, you're 14-13 and 8-8. Um, then the COVID year, 2-4, 1-3, barely played any games. Then a 14 win season, and 22-23, 22-7, 14-2. And of course, last year, 31-3, 14-2, the national runner up. You make it to the Final Four. What Adam said, the quote I wrote down from that conversation is, he said, "This culture is here to stay." He was talking about, like, would you guys be able to reload after losing all those guys from last year? And he talked about, like, it's the culture, and he said this culture is here to stay. Just talk about that, like having a guy like Adam Brazel, having a guy like Shane kind of anchoring this thing, and just, Caleb, if you would talk about, like, the culture that now exists within this program.
Yeah, I think one of the special things is the guys had a huge part of creating the culture. Um, that was a process that included all of us, which created a real shared accountability towards keeping it going and living it out. And yeah, he's one of a kind, man. Like he is a special kid, and just the way he leads, his maturity. I think his passion just with basketball, initially, but now it has turned into his passion towards, how can I just, be the best I can be in anything. Um, has really, bled into his teammates. And I think when you have, your best player who's carrying himself that way, that's going to have a significant impact on where your team goes. Um, and Shane as well. Like I think Shane is doing a great job. He came in and had to start to really develop some better habits, and he's done that every step of the way. I mean, he's had a lot of tough things happen to him while he's been at Hampden-Sydney, and he's really had to work through those and done a phenomenal job. And I think, you know, he's still working to push to be better every day,
Sure.
and is a captain for us and a leader for us in a lot of ways. And um, so yeah, I mean those guys, it's pretty special the way they've stepped up. And you're not talking about like Eamon McGowan and Nick Shryock, who are big time leaders for us. They've been here in the program, you know. They haven't played big minutes, and now they play pretty big minutes and start for us.
Right.
And those guys know what's going on, and they know how to communicate with our staff. They understand what's expected, and I wouldn't, like I said, like I don't think we're just like a well-oiled machine right now. It's early, but I do think that having that influence has been the key to getting us to where we are at this point.
Uh, just one other guy I wanted to ask you about. I remember reading the top 25 like ballot info that schools are asked to submit, and you guys did respond to it. It's like, okay, who's expected to jump into the mix to replace these guys? And whoever submitted it from Hampden-Sydney said Colin Radcliffe is a guy that's going to jump in the mix. And story checks out. The 6'5" junior guard's averaging 11 points a game. He's shooting 60% from the field. And there's a lot of guys that are a reason for why you're 6-1, but he certainly has played well for you. Talk a little bit about Colin Radcliffe, if you would.
We watched Colin a little bit out of high school. He ended up, he's older because he prepped, and then yeah, just his path. He's like an older junior for us, transfer. And he's just a very mature kid. He came in as a transfer, and he's a captain for us, as a first year guy with Shane and Adam, which is really impressive. That's voted on by the team. And he's done a great job. I think he just had to adjust. I think he was asked to do, one thing when he was playing at Mount Olive, and then he came here and uh is learning the way we do things, and is caught on really quickly. The part to him that's so special is, he's an ROTC. It's something he really wanted to do, and we were able to provide. So he does that and basketball. So, and this guy's, there's been moments
Wow.
where he's gotten up at 4:30
Sure.
and PT, and we've had a lift at 6, and he comes right in, and done something then, and then goes to his classes. On Thursdays he usually has late afternoon things to do, and then has to come over. Never complains, always bringing positive energy. He's a guy his teammates really love to be around. So he's just been such a positive influence and addition to the program. And it helps that he can really score the basketball.
Right. Right. Helps a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So that's been big for us.
As we start to wrap up, and again, we'll have Caleb on here down the road, shortly down the road, to do kind of maybe a more normal Q cast, have some fun with some more things. In light of everything happening at Trine, we just felt we were going to keep this one pretty short and sweet today. Tonight, you have William Peace at 7 o'clock Eastern time. What do we know about William Peace from North Carolina, and kind of what can we expect as we watch that one tonight?
Claude Shields is the head coach of William Peace, really good friend of mine. Bryson Gibson, associate head coach here, went to William Peace, played for Claude. Me and Claude worked together as assistant coaches right before he got that job. So, he's the man. He carries a lot of, or wears a lot of hats at William Peace, but he's done a great job there. Been the only men's coach there since he's been here. This year I think they won their last game. They've got a lot of young guys. But watching film on them, I mean, they do some good stuff. Some really good stuff, and I think you're going to expect. I mean, you got two teams that are probably we're in exam week. I'm not sure if they are or not, but you got some teams that are really going to have to lock in and
Sure.
show some grit during this time of year where you got a lot on your mind, and you've been pushing to try to get that preparation as well. But we kind of prepare for everybody the same way. So this is our biggest game because it's the one sitting right here in front of us, and we're excited to see those guys. But we know it's going to be a good game.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on today. And again, we didn't quite know what the right way was to go about today, but I like where we landed. And we'll certainly have you back on here soon, because you guys are a great story this year. It's great to see the Tigers right back in the middle of it, ranked number ninth, and right one spot in front of my guys, one spot in front of the Illinois Wesleyan Titans. I like where 9 and 10 go. Maybe we might get a matchup somewhere along the way this year. What do you think?
Can't be right, right, Bob? Like there's no way that could.
9 and 10. That's how it works. Yeah, we got a big game against WashU coming up. We got Elmhurst this Sunday. So yeah, we're in a great spot in D3 basketball, men's and women's, all kinds of great games, all kinds of tournaments over the holidays. I'll leave final thoughts with you, Caleb. So what do you want to leave the QCast guests with today? And you'll have some folks from Tiger Nation, of course, tuning in. Very passionate group. I'm guessing this guy Shane's going to be tuning in. He's trying to get on the show. Very specific rules for how he gets on here. He is not qualified yet, but I think he'll tune in. Brazel probably tunes in. What would you leave QCast Nation with here today, Caleb?
One, keep holding Shane accountable.
I will.
Don't budge on that. Two, I definitely just want to mention Fred again, and the impact he's had on a very big community in the Division III world, and that our prayers are with him and trying, and everybody close to this situation. And you know, you know, I think it reminds us all to be really thankful for what we have, and that mindset can bring a lot of joy to what we're doing. Um, and I guess lastly, you're always looking for other guests, and I love your talk with Coach Z about doing the assistant the assistant.
I'd love it.
I think that would be a really cool thing. And you got to get my man Neil Young from Ohio Northern. I'm good friends with Neil.
I'd love to.
Northern, I think, is doing a great job. They're a team to be looking at. But really appreciate you, Bob, and everything that you do, obviously, man. And thank you for having me on today.
Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, I'm always looking for interesting people that would be willing to come on the QCast. So I love getting notes or suggestions on who would be a good guest. So I would encourage everyone to keep them coming because I honestly, guys, I can schedule these pretty easily. There's not a lot of, I send a Zoom link, I record the Zoom meeting, I post it on YouTube. That's the QCast. That's all it is. So like I'm pretty flexible and these things can move pretty quick. I also, like Caleb, would like to just close this thing out saying that all of us connected to Division III basketball, our hearts are with Trine, with Fred Garland's family. It was awful news to hear. It's one of these moments where, again, you realize that basketball really isn't that big a deal, and also, unfortunately, that life is really short. And maybe it's one of these wake up moments for us and how we interact with people every day, realizing that awful things like this can happen at a moment's notice, and it changes the world. So Caleb, thank you. I'm happy for you guys, rooting for you guys. And we'll talk very soon down the road after some more Tiger victories. Okay.
Thank you so much, Bob. I appreciate it.
You too.